Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a game 3 in this series, LiquidTLO versus WhiteRa here on Metalopolis. This will be close by air spawns, and we'll see what TLO will try to use and try to be effective with this time around. TLO was not that successful earlier in the past two matches so far. Now I'm losing 2 games to nothing, and I don't know if this is what type of series this is. I may be casting these games out of order, so we'll see what will go down in this particular matchup. Now, I have mentioned it in the past. I am having a little bit of issues with Protoss versus Terran, and in my personal games where a fast a 1-gate expand into a 3-gate, very effective. If I try to expand, I end up having a smaller army. If I don't expand, my opponent has a strong economic advantage and able to take that into the mid game. You'd never want a Protoss player to establish his second and third base ahead of you, as that chrono boost is so effective at improving tech, improving economy, and the additional ability to just train out more probes. Very helpful. We're going to see a 13 gateway come in from WhiteRa. Meanwhile, we're going to see TLO currently build up a barracks as well, and now this one probe once again will quickly scout out his opponent and find out where he is already. We are getting a refinery back over here as well, so TLO with that refinery, perhaps with only one SCV on it, will be able to train up 2 Marines, add on a tech lab and a Marauder while building a command center as well. He wants to make sure that he doesn't fall behind economically speaking. Excuse me. SCV now doing a bit of scouting, as well as with the probe trying to come in, trying to do a little bit of harassment. SCV is still wandering around as a Marine is now being trained, and also we have an upgrade to an orbital command. Proxy pylon back over here from WhiteRa will be able to warp in units onto that low ground effectively, just minimizing the walking distances in between all these bases. You can see that the probe is once again going to come back in and get a little bit more damage onto that SCV. Needs an additional 6 shots, as this one Marine looking to hold the high ground. We are training up that Zealot, as I mentioned earlier in previous matchups, where he will perhaps go for 1 Zealot, and that Zealot will most likely just park itself at this Xel'Naga tower for a little bit of time, as a Stalker also will be trained, and then a Stalker and a Zealot perhaps used in order to put some pressure on the front door. Meanwhile, back over here, a tech lab currently being built as well. We see that we are most likely going to be getting a Marauder and then maybe perhaps a Reaper once again. TLO really not deviating from his strategy so far. WhiteRa supply blocked at 26/26. Meanwhile, TLO sitting at 22/27. 17 SCVs versus 22, with the benefit of 1 mule as well. You can see a command center now being built right by the ramp, right by the front door of his base, as now TLO expanding or increasing his macro by getting a 2nd barracks. He should also be getting up a 3rd barracks as well. I believe he still only has 2 SCVs on gas, so he should be able to get up another barracks in just a moment, as this one supply depot has been started. There's that 3rd barracks, as I mentioned. Command center should be able to upgrade to an orbital command, and now TLO moving out with this rather small army, this small tactical force, looking to perhaps deal a killing blow. There is 1 probe up on that high ground. The Marines and the Marauders are going to catch this probe. The probe trying to run down, unable to do so. And now the Xel'Naga tower doesn't really reveal much. SCV coming along that backside will see that there is a Nexus coming in from WhiteRa before the 6-minute mark in this game. It was actually much earlier, perhaps even sometime in the 4-minute mark, as a bunker is being placed down. So that bunker is out of sight. The Nexus is about, 30 seconds away from being completed, but the bunker should be able to complete. So very nicely done. To perhaps TLO will be successful this time around with this bunker harassment. The probe does move out. He does catch this one, and now down goes that one probe there, as the Reapers, Marauders, and Marines now attempting to deal some early damage to this Nexus. The Nexus already down to half shield so far, taking a little bit of damage, as now we are going to have perhaps the Marauders and the Marines jump inside that bunker. A new wave of warp-in should be happening happening just now, as the Stalkers are going to be able to get in some free hits on units. SCVs, no SCV, only one SCV off over here. We are going to see what one Marine or one Reaper, two Marines inside that bunker. And now in comes the damage already, trying to shut down and destroy these Stalkers. Not a very large army. Multiple SCVs are repairing, as the Marauder needs to perhaps jump inside. And yes, able to jump inside. Nicely done. But the Reaper does get destroyed as well. Marines attempting to continue to fight. This SCV will get destroyed. It looks like the bunker down to 200 some odd hit points. Constantly fighting. It looks like more units will get destroyed here, as another Marauder was taken down. And now this Stalker will get surrounded and destroyed. No, it looks like it will be able to escape, as the Zealots are now giving chase to these units. And WhiteRa once again absorbing a lot of damage on his Nexus. But still, the Nexus stands. Zealots trying to chase down a Marine, unable to do so, but the Stalker is able to use that particle beam, as they do walk faster, and also able to get in a couple easy shots there. We are getting another Tech Lab and another Tech Lab, so it is going to be a triple Tech Lab build here, as TLO trying to change things up. The Marauders and the Marines are up on the high ground, able to get a lot of easy shots so far onto those unsuspecting low ground units. Zealots are now going to perhaps be trying to lead the way, as the Marauders deal minimal damage to those Zealots. We currently have a bunker over here, the bunker about to be completed. And now we also see WhiteRa changing things up once more. In the first game, he went for a 2-base timing. Last game, he went for a 1-base push. And now this time, he's going simply into a very heavy macro game with a third Nexus. Command Center not training any additional SCVs. Taking a look at the Harvester and the resource count, Terran just slightly ahead, most likely with the benefit of those 3 mules that are currently in play, as we are now going into 3 more barracks. So 3 additional barracks in order to fend off whatever WhiteRa will be throwing at TLO. WhiteRa currently still running off of 3 gateways. Getting that 4th gateway as well. He does not have a robotics facility yet, as he is going to be a little bit of time before an observer can be trained. Observer so important in giving map sight and map control, as you can look at a portion of a map without revealing yourself to your opponent. WhiteRa now getting that 5th gateway and 6th gateway, so this may be a 2-base timing, as off of 2 bases you can normally produce off of these 6 gateways pretty continuously. You can see now it is going to be 7 gateways, so 7 gateways now coming in from WhiteRa. We are looking at TLO. TLO does have a little bit of a larger army right now, but his overall economy is weaker by 14 or 13 harvesters. The natural expansion finally starting to train up some more workers here. Mules need to be called down, as an observer cannot be able to stay in this base for very long, as a missile turret now being added. The Marauder is going to be able to catch a probe out of position, and now trying to do a little bit of a split. This is not going to work. Now trying to come in and flank from the other side as well. Marauders getting destroyed. The Zealots trying to give chase, and these Marauders just running around just a little bit too much, and WhiteRa just really winning out on this fight, or at least it so far looks that way, as an Immortal now being added. The Immortal able to get off a lot of easy damage so far. It looks like that Immortal will get taken down, but he did get off a couple key critical shots, as the Zealots are now attempting to go after these Marines here. There is only one low hit point Zealot, as now more damage is still being dealt to the Marauders. Another Stalker has been destroyed. 3 Stalkers, as now Stim now completing just in time. TLO attempting to run away. It looks like all of those gateway or all those barracks units will get destroyed. And now the army, 950 versus 1100, as more Marauders are still being added. You can see 5 barracks or 7 barracks up and running. Massive bio play, but I still do not see a starport for a medevac, which is very bad news. They are not going to be able to use Stim nearly as effectively, as they will be damaging themselves. Level 1 weapons upgrade, 3 Marines, 5 Marauders, as we're going to see these units perhaps make their way off to the north. It does know, or TLO does know about this expansion at the 10 o'clock location, and he looks to destroy it. But first having to deal with a rather large army of WhiteRa. WhiteRa with such a powerful dominating force, is simply almost able to attack move with those Guardian shields and those Zealots and Stalkers. The Stalkers do not have blink, finally getting that Twilight Council research as one force field, forcing a lot of those units to once again retreat. Marauder trying to stay away, and it looks like a new fresh group of Marauders will just simply get taken down once more. TLO sitting with that one Marauder there, and it does get destroyed as Zealots are now able to make their way in. Was watching that fight for way too long. Let me go ahead and see how far back this was. So at the 13-minute mark, a Zealot drops straight into the main base as the Zealots and the Sentries were trying to clear out these units here. The SCVs desperately running for their lives. SCVs now finally being transferred over. It looks like a Sentry will be added, and perhaps getting a force field on the ramp. By getting a force field on the ramp, he prevents any additional units from really making their way in. There's the force field, but it's not in the proper position at all. If it was perhaps a little bit more centered, it would deny any true way to get back into his base. You can see now the Marauder on the low ground. TLO dealing a good amount of damage, but WhiteRa, now with nowhere to run with his Stalkers, needs to perhaps escape. You can now see a very large number of units coming in from WhiteRa once again. The Marauders with no medevac, using stim a little bit too much. Long-term stim usage is hazardous to your health, as we all saw in those Marauders, as the Zealots are now trying to finish off the rest of these Marauders here, finish off the stragglers, and it looks like WhiteRa will be taking essentially a 3-0 victory in what I believe to be a best-of-5 series. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.